Last time on Star Trek The Next Generation, the conclusion.
And that's when I fainted and woke up shortly after and said, "Sorry, I thought you were Jezebel." Yes, James. I was here for that. Oh, that's right. I can't believe what you went through at the Orange League. It sounds amazing and terrible all at once. Pokemon journeys seem to be like that, I suppose. But you learn from each mistake and discover what not to do ever again. After they wake up Meowth, who fell asleep during the story, they get off the ferry at Blue Point Isle. Jessie asks what James will do now, and he says, "Well, if you don't mind, I'd love to travel with you for a while." James is curious to see the differences between the Johto and Kanto leagues, and Jessie is more than happy for the company. Though Meowth is a little wary about how much Jessie looks like Jezebel, he agrees with the plan. Jessie, James, and Meowth head to a smaller ferry port to take them the rest of the way to Cianwood. However, they say the ferry won't be heading out due to some terrible weather. James looks off in the distance and says that not even Gyarados could swim through that. The trio have no choice but to bunker down here for a few days. At the Pokemon Center, however, they hear of an event that might make their stay a little more interesting. The World Cup. Nurse Joy tells them that they came at the perfect time. The Water Pokemon Tournament is being held, and though it takes some convincing for James from Jessie, they both decide to try and win the prized Mystic Water. Jessie with her Shellder, and James with his Gyarados and Slowpoke enter the tournament. In the first round, Jessie's Shellder overtakes the local Harrison's Quillfish, who laughs off the loss and says, "There's always the next tournament." James faces off against a trainer named Lola, who you may recognize as Brock's mother, the Water-type specialist who left Flint while Brock was still young. Gyarados has no trouble defeating her poor little Poliwag, sending James and Jessie both into the second round, and revealing a big problem. The second round requires 2 water Pokemon, and Jessie only has 1. While Jessie, James, and Meowth relax in the inn, with Lickitung jumping out of its Pokeball to eat James's specialty Pokemon food, Jessie tells them that she doesn't need a second water Pokemon. As long as Shellder never loses, no one will figure out she's 1 Pokemon short. James says, "That's a lot of pressure to put on just 1 Pokemon." "Yeah, that much pressure will crack even Shellder's shell," Meowth says. But Jessie is convinced that Shellder will live up to her expectations and goes to sleep excited for the next day's competition. She sleeps so soundly, she doesn't even hear someone going through her bag. The next day, James faces off against a trainer named Aiden, who will one day become a firefighter on Ascorbia Island, but his Wartortle is taken out by Slowpoke Psychic, and his Squirtle faints just at the sight of Gyarados. James moves on to the next round. Next up is Jessie. She faces off against a trainer named Eusine. Obsessed with the Pokemon Suicune, Eusine hopes to win the Mystic Water and try to use it to lure out the legendary dog. He sends out a Cloyster, and Jessie sends out... another Cloyster? Jessie's shocked. What happened? You see, the night before, Shellder overheard how much Jessie believed in it, but all Shellder could remember was how alone it felt back in Union Cave when none of the Slowpoke chose to evolve with it. Shellder became worried that if it lost, Jessie would abandon it. It went into Jessie's bag, not an easy task for a shellfish, and found the water stone she won in the bug catching contest. Without Jessie's knowledge, Shellder evolved itself into Cloyster, abandoning its dreams of evolving with a Slowpoke, all in the hopes to help Jessie win. Though Cloyster is stronger now, it's clearly not accustomed to its new size and bulk. Battling off against a Cloyster with years of experience as an evolved Pokemon is showing its immaturity. Cloyster wins barely, but then is defeated by Eusine Starmie with a powerful Thunderbolt, which leaves Cloyster badly paralyzed. Jessie's unable to send out another Pokemon, and is disqualified. Jessie's stunned, unable to even say a word, let alone recall her Pokemon. It's Meowth that jumps out of the stands and yells at Jessie to snap her back to reality. "Jessie, don't you see what Cloyster did for you? It knew how bad you wanted to win, and look what happened!" James forfeits his next battle to help Jessie with Cloyster, using the Salvio weed he collected back in the Orange Archipelago. Eusine goes on to win the tournament and the coveted Mystic Water. Jessie is overcome with guilt. If not for her obsession with winning, Cloyster wouldn't have forced itself to evolve and end up hurt, and James wouldn't have had to quit the tournament. She apologizes to James, saying he probably could have won if not for her. He says, "You have no idea what winning costs, what it can cost your Pokemon." It's a trainer's job to have the strength to know when to quit. She thinks back to how Bruno told her trainers needed to be strong, and Jessie finally realizes what he meant. She apologizes through tears to Cloyster and has no idea how it will ever forgive her. But Cloyster, thanks to Meowth's translation, tells her, "Jessie, don't cry. Don't you see? My dream really did come true. I thought evolving with a Slowpoke would mean I could never be alone again. But knowing how much you care for me, I now know that being alone was never possible. No matter what I am, I'll be happy as long as we're together." Jessie hugs Cloyster close to her and promises to never let winning cloud her judgment again. After the tournament, Jessie thanks James again, asking if there's anything she can do to repay him. James asks Jessie to send Chansey to his grandparents along with his Gyarados. He believes she can help Gyarados and all the other Pokemon there recover. Jessie and Chansey agree, with Chansey entrusting the egg she's been carrying to Jessie. Jessie and James enter Cianwood when the weather clears and fairies are active again, and head to the gym. The gym leader, Chuck, has just returned from the Galar region where he was training with a young bee. When challenged, he's very excited, as he borrowed a Pokemon from Galar to train his own in some new moves. James and Meowth watch in the stands, with James holding the egg for Jessie. Lickitung also insists on sitting in the stands with James, wanting a second breakfast of James's Pokemon food. The battle begins with Arbok facing off against Machop. The tiny fighting Pokemon packs a big punch with Karate Chop, but Arbok's resistance allows it to shrug it off and defeat Machop with Poison Stings and its newly learned Earthquake. However, against Poliwrath, Arbok has a bit more trouble. Earthquake is not nearly as effective, and Poliwrath is able to take out Arbok after it's put to sleep with a surprise hypnosis. Jessie then sends out Yanma, believing the flying type to have an advantage over Poliwrath. However, the Dragonfly's wing attacks and sonic booms seem to only infuriate the fighting tadpole, and Yanma is taken out by a string of powerful waterfalls. Jessie hesitates on deciding her next Pokemon. Lickitung, Sneasel, and Cloyster are all weak to fighting types. What should she do? However, before she can make up her mind, the fighting spirit of the dojo and the challenge posed by so many fighting types seems to have an effect on the egg that Chansey left with Jessie. Being held in James's arms while Jessie battles, it suddenly hatches. The Pokemon inside jumps out and charges straight to the battlefield. It's a Tyrogue, and it looks like Tyrogue was literally born to battle. Jessie's worried about pushing it too hard though, considering what just happened with Cloyster in the World Cup, but Jessie can tell Tyrogue wants to fight, and nothing she says could stop it. Using an immediate combination of Fake Out and Tackle, Tyrogue defeats Chuck's damaged Poliwrath. It all comes down to their final Pokemon, Tyrogue versus Sirfetch'd. Though Sirfetch'd, borrowed from the Galar region, is massive compared to the baby Pokemon, its Slash and Brick Breaks hit nothing but air. Tyrogue uses its small size to dodge. With Focus Energy activated, Tyrogue unleashes a critical Brick Break on Sirfetch'd, seemingly having learned the move by watching Sirfetch'd perform it only once. Thanks to her new prodigy of a baby Pokemon, Jessie has won her 5th badge, the Storm Badge. Taking a ferry back to Olivine directly, Jessie, James, and Meowth travel past it, through Rikishi Town, and return to Ecruteak City. The Ghost-type specialist is back and ready for a battle. Morty does ask Jessie if she knows where the gym's former student Karen went, but Jessie has no idea. Before the gym battle, the trio rest at the Pokemon Center, which gives Jessie a chance to plan her strategy. Sneasel will definitely be helpful in the upcoming battle, but she wonders if she should catch a Ghost-type herself before the match. Just then, Lickitung jumps out of its Pokeball again, and runs over to James wanting even more food. Apparently it can't get enough, and Jessie has noticed how close it's gotten to James in such a short time. James suddenly has a thought. As Jessie mentions wanting a Ghost type, he remembers how badly Haunter wanted to battle more in the Orange League. Knowing that his destiny may not be a future full of battles, he tells Jessie that perhaps Haunter would be better off with her. The two agree, though it's still a tough decision to make, and decide to trade Pokemon. Jessie gives James her Lickitung, and when James brings Haunter back from his grandparents, he gives it to Jessie through the trading machine. Perhaps Haunter will be just what Jessie needs in her next gym battle. Lickitung, on the other hand, is more than happy to be sent to James's mansion, where it becomes fast friends with the family chef. No more stealing snow for Lickitung. Now it can eat 10 meals a day like it always dreamed. It would definitely take a millionaire to satisfy Lickitung's appetite. The next day at the gym, Jessie has a 3-on-3 battle with Morty. Morty's Ghastly faces off against Jessie's Yanma. The two Pokemon are exceptionally fast and seem to dodge anything the other throws at them. Jessie orders Yanma to use a Sonic Boom and appears to land a direct hit, but Jessie forgets ghost types are immune to normal attacks. That moment of hesitation allows Ghastly to defeat Yanma with a Nightshade. Jessie sends out Sneasel, who defeats Ghastly with one quick feint attack. Jessie realizes something after Morty returns Ghastly. Sneasel battled without demanding eggs. While Sneasel pretends to have just forgotten, Jessie realizes that even Sneasel has begun to warm up to her. Using a newly learned Night Slash, it defeats Morty's Haunter shortly after with relative ease. Just as it looks like Sneasel will sweep Morty's team, his Gengar comes out and uses Curse. Spending the rest of the battle simply dodging Sneasel's attacks, eventually the Ice-type succumbs to the damage and faints. Jessie decides this is the perfect time to let James's Haunter out, but when she throws her Pokeball, it isn't Haunter, it's Gengar. Haunter, unbeknownst to Jessie and James, evolved into Gengar when he was traded for Lickitung. The newly evolved ghost type laughs to itself, finding the shocked looks on everyone's faces hilarious. The ultimate fake-out prank. The two Gengars exchange Nightshades, but Morty's secret move Shadow Ball seems to turn the tide in his favor. Jessie's Gengar is hit directly and falls to the ground. However, Morty doesn't realize his opponent has a secret move of his own, pretending to be hit by attacks. When Morty's Gengar lets its guard down, it's hit from behind by a Nightshade and faints. Thanks to Gengar's prankster ways, it helps Jessie win her 6th badge, the Fog Badge. In Mahogany Town, Jessie challenges the gym leader Price to a battle. At this time, Price's Piloswine is still lost in the mountains, and thus Price is as icy to people as ever. He still believes that Pokemon and humans can't really be friends. With no interest in chit-chat, he battles Jessie immediately with Seel, Dugong, and Lapras. Jessie begins with Cloyster vs Seel, and the evolved water type defeats the tiny Seel with ease thanks to its Spike Cannon. However, against Price's Dugong, Cloyster falls to its swift movement and powerful Double Edge. Before Jessie can choose her next Pokemon, Tyrogue jumps out of its Pokeball, as Jessie's Pokemon seem to do so easily and so often. The fighting type is gone almost a week without battling, and it's itching for a fight, and Dugong is taken out by a powerful Brick Break. Finally, Price sends out his Lapras. Tyrogue, facing off against a Pokemon quadruple its height, doesn't hesitate to charge the giant Ice Nessie. The tiny fighter is too small for Lapras to hit effectively with Ice Beams, and it runs around her like Sora fighting a behemoth. With Focus Energy charged Brick Breaks, Tyrogue defeats Lapras and wins Jessie yet another badge, the Glacier Badge. I'd say this baby Pokemon is really carrying its weight, but it doesn't really weigh much. Side note, before we head into Blackthorn, I just want to say a lot of people commented, and yes, I made a mistake and mixed up Claire and Lance's ages. I thought Lance was like a young prodigy. My bad. So let's just pretend that Claire is older, okay? Sorry. Now back to the thing. The trio leaves Mahogany and travels through the ice caves to Blackthorn, but on the outskirts of the city, Jessie hesitates. Meowth asks her why she stopped. She's been so eager to battle every gym leader up till now, what's different here? Jessie tells them about how she battled Claire once before, and how humiliated she was when she lost. Jessie's worried she hasn't grown enough, that she might make a fool of herself against Claire again. Luckily, Jessie isn't traveling alone anymore. She has friends right there to tell her the truth. Jessie, if you're a weak trainer, then I must be pathetic, James says. We'll be watching and cheering for you in the stands, won't we? Meowth, that's right. Jessie can't possibly turn around now, with friends eager to see her battle, can she? After a quick stop at the Pokemon Center to make some preparations, they head to the gym. At the Blackthorn gym, Jessie learns that Lance and Liza are gone. Apparently, the former students of Claire were both able to beat her after Jessie's first attempt at the gym. Claire is thus in a pretty bad mood. When she recognizes Jessie, she says, "Great, the little girl found her way back here. Let me guess, you want a battle?" "Yes, and when we're through, you won't be calling me a little girl anymore. Don't think because those two beat me that you stand a chance. You still want to take me on? Fine, let's do it." In the 3-on-3 battle, Arbok begins facing off against Claire's Gyarados. "Well, looks like that little snake has grown up," Claire says. Not like it will matter. But Jessie doesn't give in to the taunt, and calmly orders Arbok to use the move Haze. The battlefield is covered in smoke. Gyarados dives under the water to avoid the attack, and Arbok quietly follows it in. With the battle now underwater, Claire assumes Gyarados will have an advantage, but that's exactly according to Jessie's plan. Arbok's most powerful attack, Earthquake, can't be used against Gyarados normally, but when used underwater, it shakes the arena and creates massive whirlpools and tidal waves. Arbok slithers out of the water right after using the move, but Gyarados is tossed around like clothes in a washing machine. Not only does Arbok defeat Gyarados in the water, but it does so using a move that normally doesn't affect it. And you thought Pikachu defeating a Rhydon was crazy anime logic.
Smart move! Rhydon's horn acts just like a lightning rod!
Claire is impressed by how much Arbok has grown, but against her Dragonair, the poisonous snake has a much harder time. Though they exchange poison stings and slams, Dragonair ultimately defeats Arbok with a powerful Dragon Breath. When Cloyster comes out, Jessie assumes the Ice type will defeat the dragon with a single Ice Beam, but Dragonair doesn't give Cloyster the chance. Cloyster's defeated almost instantly with a surprise Thunder. Jessie is down to her last Pokemon. She sends out Chansey. Yes, having retrieved her during the quick stop at the Pokemon Center, Jessie knows Chansey is ready to finish this. Jessie orders Chansey to attack, and Claire chuckles at the big pink ball waddling towards her dragon. But before she can regain her composure, it's already too late. Chansey wasn't using a weak pound or double slap like Claire assumed. It was an Ice Punch. Claire is taken completely by surprise, and Dragonair is defeated. It all comes down to Claire's ace, Kingdra. You've made some good moves so far, little girl, but this is where your clever little tricks will end you. Claire orders Kingdra to use Rain Dance, and in the rain, Kingdra's swift swim makes it too fast for Chansey to hit. You'll never land a single Ice Punch on him. Maybe not, but Ice Punch isn't all we have, Jessie says, and she orders Chansey to use a special move. One that used to haunt Jessie. One that almost made her give up her dreams when she herself couldn't learn it back at the nurse's school. Jessie orders Chansey to use Sing. Even against the loud maelstrom of rain and whirlpools around her, Chansey's song breaks through. The fierce battle-ready eyes of Kingdra soon begin to droop as sleep overtakes it. Asleep and completely vulnerable, Chansey waddles over to the edge of the platform and stands above Kingdra. She holds an egg bomb high, and Jessie says, "Claire, why don't you give up and save Kingdra the pain and suffering? Ask my Sneasel." An egg bomb from Chansey is nothing to sneeze at. Claire's face nearly bursts from anger, but even she can admit when she's been beaten. "I surrender," she says, and recalls her sleeping Kingdra. Both Claire and Jessie are stunned silent. Neither one can believe this, but Jessie won. She actually beat Claire. Though Claire looks 5 seconds away from having a temper tantrum, she hands Jessie her badge. The Rising Badge. If only Jessie could tell herself, back when she lost to Claire, that one day she'd be strong enough to defeat her. Though James and Meowth run out of the stands to congratulate Jessie, she can't help but wonder, where did Liza and Lance go after defeating Claire? Jessie has all 8 badges. The Silver Conference is not only on the horizon, but it also means she gets to return home. Her snowy village is not too far from Silver Town, where the league competition takes place. Jessie, James, and Meowth head to the Silver Conference together, returning to the snowy village on the way so Jessie's foster parents can travel with them and cheer for their daughter at the league. They pass through the Ho-Oh Shrine and a vibrant lake with many Slowpoke and Shelder before entering Silver Town. It is packed with trainers. There are also a ton of vendors, with James almost getting swindled into buying a bunch of fake badges that are clearly just bottle caps. Luckily, Meowth is there to stop him from wasting his money, and they follow Jessie into the registration building. After signing in, Jessie learns that the Silver Conference begins with 3 preliminary rounds of 1v1 battles. She will have to win all 3 if she wants to battle in the main event and have a shot at winning the conference. The first one-on-one battle is won quickly by Cloyster, and the second battle is even easier. Jessie can't even see the trainer's face, but the hooded figure's Wobbuffet puts up almost no fight at all as Arbok defeats it. Jessie wonders why the hooded figure barely fought back, but shakes it off, happy to have had an easy match. Jessie's third preliminary battle is the only one that gives her some trouble. A trainer by the name of Wings Alexander has a Hoot that may look cute, but even with the type disadvantage, it almost defeats Sneasel. Jessie is just able to win thanks to Sneasel's Powder Snow slowing down Hoot. Having qualified for the top 48, the trainers are put into 16 groups of 3. The 3 trainers will battle a round robin to see which one comes out on top. When Jessie approaches the desk to find out who her opponents are, she can't believe her eyes. The other 2 trainers in her block are Liza and Karen. Surprised to see her 2 rivals at the league, Liza greets Jessie with a huge smile. Karen, on the other hand, gives Jessie nothing but a cocky smirk. Liza tells Jessie how happy she is that she was able to make it here. Lance trounced Claire not long after Jessie left Blackthorn the first time, but it took Liza several more attempts to best her. Jessie introduces her to James and Meowth, who head back to the stands to watch the first match in their block, Liza versus Karen. But the match is over almost in the blink of an eye. Liza thought her Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard were bringing a lot of firepower, but they're all defeated by one of Karen's Pokemon. And what's worse, it's one that none of them have ever seen before. Karen clearly succeeded in finding something darker than the ghost type. Jessie's first battle is with Liza, but her Pokemon, even after a night at the Pokemon Center, are still worn out from battling Karen's mysterious ace. Though it gives Jessie no pleasure, she defeats all 3 of Liza's weakened fire types using only her Cloyster. The next day, against Karen, Jessie uses Arbok, Gengar, and Tyrogue. Karen sends out her ace, and Jessie finally hears its name, Houndoom. The Pokemon is a member of a still not fully understood Pokemon type, the Dark type. Jessie, not fully aware of what this type can do, even after traveling with Sneasel, sends out Gengar, thinking he can stay above and out of Houndoom's range. But Jessie makes a terrible mistake, and dodging Gengar's Nightshade, Houndoom unleashes a super effective Dark Pulse, taking out Gengar with one shot. Up next, Arbok's Earthquake does a lot of damage, but when Jessie tries to recall Arbok after it's burned by Houndoom's flamethrower, it's defeated by a surprise Pursuit. Jessie didn't even know that move existed. Jessie's down to her last Pokemon, and Karen's ace is still standing strong. It looks unbeatable, but the word unbeatable doesn't mean anything to Tyrogue. The Pokemon, who is literally born to fight, emerges. And as even Karen doesn't know everything about the Dark type yet, she's surprised by how little damage Dark Pulse does against the fighting type. All it seems to do is piss off Tyrogue, whose focus energy looks more like him stewing in anger. A critical hit Brick Break shocks the whole crowd as it defeats Houndoom. The baby Pokemon shouts in victory, and standing over the fainted body of Houndoom, he shines bright like the sun. He's evolving, and into a Hitmonlee. The kicking Pokemon is known for having extremely high attack, and shows this off to everyone. Against Karen's Gloom, Hitmonlee high jump kicks it so hard the smelly Pokemon gets shot right into the stands. And Karen's final Pokemon, a weak little Murkrow, can't land a single Drill Peck before Hitmonlee Brick Breaks it straight down into the ground, cracking the arena floor. It looks like Karen put a little too much effort into her ace Houndoom, as her other 2 Pokemon are pretty weak. Hitmonlee wins Jessie the match, and she advances forward to the top 16. Karen leaves, feeling ashamed, but does learn the importance of all of her Pokemon, and that she can't just abandon one type because she gets bored. She re-adds Gengar to her party, vowing to never turn her back on him again, even if she becomes a Dark-type specialist. That's why she doesn't only have Dark-types in her team in the Elite Four. After a long night of resting, Jessie finds out her opponent in the 3 vs 3 top 16 match is... oh no, it's Lance. She must face off against the very trainer who Liza could never beat, and who already surpassed Claire as a dragon trainer. Jessie is pretty nervous. Against Lance, Jessie uses Cloyster, Chansey, and Sneasel. They're up against Lance's team of dragon Pokemon, with his Dragonite being undefeated in the Silver Conference so far. Jessie feels a little more confident going in though, as she's bringing 2 ice types, and Chansey comes ready with her Ice Punch. Lance's dragons should be no problem, right? In the top 16 battle, Lance enters the arena, quiet and stoic as ever. He's the favorite to win now that Karen's defeated, but all eyes are on Jessie. How will she fare against the young dragon prodigy? Lance sends out his Dragonite, and Jessie sends out Cloyster. Lance is known to begin each match with an extreme speed, so Jessie believes Cloyster's massive defense will withstand it. And she's right! Cloyster withstands Dragonite's physical attack, but Lance doesn't even flinch at the tactic. Perhaps mirroring Claire's strategy, Dragonite uses a Thunder, which wipes out Cloyster before it even had a chance to use Ice Beam. It seems obvious this isn't Lance's first battle against an Ice type. Jessie sends out Chansey next, who's also unable to dodge Extreme Speed, but is able to get in one good Ice Punch. It doesn't seem to do the damage Jessie expected though, as Dragonite shrugs it off. She tries to order Chansey to use Sing, but Dragonite drowns it out with a loud slam attack against the arena floor. Chansey then tries to use Egg Bomb, but Dragonite slaps the eggs away like they're nothing. Lance's Dragonite defeats Chansey with an immensely powerful slam. The reality of battling Lance is setting in. It's as though he's prepared for every strategy, every attack Jessie throws at him. Even Chansey's Egg Bombs did seemingly nothing against the dragon. Sneasel enters the arena last, Jessie's only hope at winning, and it's fueled by the desire to avenge Chansey and defeat the dragon who disrespected eggs. The Ice type should have a huge advantage against the Dragon and Flying type, but Dragonite's presence is overwhelming. It wastes no time as the match begins. It charges forward with an extreme speed, sending Sneasel crashing into the arena wall. Lance has used Dragonite's speed to win every match up until now, and even though Jessie knew it was coming, she and Sneasel couldn't do anything to stop it. Sneasel's legs shake as it tries to stand up. It shoots out a powder snow in an attempt to hit Dragonite and slow it down, but the dragon flies high and avoids the attack with ease. Sneasel tries powder snow once more, but Dragonite unleashes a devastating Hyper Beam, defeating the Dark type. Jessie's lost, but as the tournament continues, ultimately no one was able to defeat Lance's Dragonite. Not even in the finals, when Lance faces off against an up-and-comer named Drake, is his Dragonite defeated. Lance is crowned champion of the Silver Conference, and one day very soon, he'll become a member of the Elite Four. At such a young age, this future champion is seen as a real rising star. Though the newcomer Drake lost in the finals, he puts up a good fight. Perhaps even inspired by Lance's dragons, Drake will one day get a Dragonite of his own and end up the head gym leader of the Orange League when Lorelei moves on to the Elite Four. Karen may have been eliminated early, but her dark types will continue to make a strong impression as one day she rises to become a member of the Elite Four. Though Jessie is sad to have lost, she's happy to have made it so far into the competition, beating a lot of really strong trainers along the way. Whether she has the trophy or not, losing can't take away all that she's learned and all she's experienced through her Johto journey. With her Pokemon, James, Meowth, and her family by her side, she returns to the snowy village. They arrive to a warm welcome from the village, and Jessie remembers all of the random jobs she tried when she was younger. Nurse, designer, model, dancer, all to try and win the love of a mother who left her long ago. Now she's surrounded by friends and family who are excited for her, even though she lost. How could she possibly feel sad? As the town celebrates, Jessie, it turns out, had more than just a warm welcome waiting for her. She's also given a letter addressed directly to her. It apparently arrived not too long ago. Jessie, with James and Meowth looking over her shoulder, opens the envelope. It's from Aston, a boy I used to know, Jessie says. I haven't spoken with him since dance school when he left to go to... What is it, Jessie? James asks. Inside of the envelope is a letter, and something else. A contest pass. Jessie picks it up and reads the letter aloud. It's only one line. Meet me in Hoenn. And Hoenn is where our story will continue, in about 1,000,000 months. But until then, thank you for watching and following the adventures of Jessie, James, and Meowth. Don't forget to subscribe for more of this series, as well as other videos for different cartoons and games. Thank you for watching! What did you discover? We snuck into the League and battled her. She won't pose any threat. We'll be able to defeat them both in Hoenn and steal that Meowth for Madam Boss. Good, good. But stay vigilant. This assignment could get ugly, so make sure you prepare for trouble. Oh, don't worry. We'll make it double.